Hi everyone and welcome to the first episode of Bookish with Mix and Bella. My name's Bella.
And I'm Mix. Welcome to our book club.
How are you going today, Mix?
Good. How has your week been, Bella? Anything interesting happening to you?
Not particularly. I went out for dinner last night. Had a really nice schnitzel.
Started a podcast. It's fun.
Yeah, started the podcast. That's something. What about you?
Yeah, not a lot. Although my neighbours had a bit of a complaint about our dogs.
Oh no.
Would you like the story?
Oh, no.
Because I want to rant about this.
I would love the story.
So we are in the process, as you know, of moving out of our house to another state. And our neighbours have been our neighbours for almost 2 years now.
Yeah, it's been a while.
They're kind of mates with my partner, but not really. Enough that they would have each other's phone numbers.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've been at home on maternity leave, so the dogs have been mostly inside with me and not noisy outside at all. Maybe when I go out to drop my daughter at school and come back and they bark and then it's over. They don't bark at nighttime, ever. Anyway, my partner got a message the other day from our neighbours complaining that our dogs are too loud and can we please address the issue? And I'm thinking to myself, what are we supposed to do? And I said, maybe that one day was because we left in a bit of a rush and they thought they were coming and it was the whole thing. But he said, no, it's been an issue since they moved in. So I don't know why they're just now talking about it.
Yeah.
But dogs aside, the fact that this guy's had the audacity to message us and complain about our dogs. I mean, I get it. Dogs can be annoying. You have absolutely every right to come and complain about it, and I understand. But they often have parties of a nighttime. Yes.
No.
And they're quite loud. And our bedroom window is quite close to their backyard. So we hear a lot. And it's a lot of like swearing and drinking and all those things. Which is fine. Like, it doesn't bother me. But I do have kids and they do go to bed early. And it is a bit frustrating. Especially when the parties go quite late. But I was thinking, even while I'm getting so stressed about this message and the dogs and what am I going to do, I still would never go over to them and go, hey, you guys are too loud at night.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't know what that says about me. But yeah, I found that very interesting. And when you find out things about yourself and it's like,
That's like our old neighbours. The old lady we used to live next door to, she never once said anything to us about the dogs. Like, we spoke to her multiple times, said hello, everything, but then went straight to the council.
Yeah.
And then the council came and knocked on the door and I was like, well, I know nothing about this. She hasn't spoken to us. All she would have to do is come to the door and then we can have a chat about it. And they're like, they were confused because she told them she had spoken to us. But then the same thing. Like, I wouldn't, if there was, like, there's other noisy dogs, like the other side, the other neighbour would have a noisy dog. I would never complain.
Because it's so taboo, complaining.
Yeah.
I think that's a millennial thing.
I think it's like dog owner versus non-dog owner.
Oh, for sure. But I understand, and I have heard dogs that do bark all day and all night, and I can understand how that can get incredibly frustrating. But so my dogs bark when someone goes past outside or when someone comes to the door. They're protecting my house. I mean, they are loud and it's annoying, and my little dog has learned how to howl quite aggressively.
Oh.
Which, these are things we're going through. My dog has anxiety now because my partner's away so much, and it's a whole thing. But what exactly do they expect us to do about our dogs barking when we are not home?
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, rant over. This week we're talking about, it's book club. We're here for book club.
Yeah.
We're here for dogs barking.
I don't know. I like talking about dogs. It's a passion of mine.
Barking dogs is a passion.
Talking about the assholes that complain about it.
The assholes of life.
Yes.
Anyway, book club. Book club.
What are we doing this week?
Well, for our very first week, we're going to tackle the amazing Sarah J. Maas. We will be reading over the course of the next 5 weeks. Is there 5 books?
Yes. There's 4 books and then one's like a little novella.
We'll do the novella. Chuck it in there. No one talks about the novella, so let's talk about it.
Yes.
But we're starting with A Court of Thorns and Roses. Okay, do you want me to tell you how I found this book?
Tell me how you found it, because I'd seen the cover, but besides like having actually just read it, before that I knew nothing about the book.
Okay, so I fell down the rabbit hole that is book talk.
Oh, yes.
And I was watching some video and they were going on about something. And in all the tags, it said ACOTA. What is it? A Court of Thorns and Roses. ACOTAR. And I was like, what is this? Why am I not in the loop? So I Googled it, figured out what it was. And then as I kept watching TikToks and I saw this tag, I'm like, I know what that is. It's cool. It's fine.
Yeah.
So, because I have really bad FOMO. I don't like missing out on things.
Yeah, of course.
So yes, I saw that, and then I'd seen it in the shops, and I was like getting really hyped about it. And then I bought it on my Kindle, but apparently I'd already bought it 3 years ago and never read it.
That sounds like you.
So I was already cool, and I just didn't know it. But I remember
Story
thinking,
of your life.
right? I remember thinking the author, Sarah J. Maas, I think that's how you say it, Maas.
Yeah.
She sounded familiar. And I was thinking, what is the books that I've read of hers? And then I looked into it a bit further, and it was like Throne of Glass. Do you remember reading those ones?
I don't think I ever read them, but I do remember. I remember them being quite popular.
Yes, same. I never read them, but I remember the hype around them.
Yes,
and
yeah.
Maybe there was a movie? To be Googled later. Fun fact, she released Throne of Glass when she was 16.
Oh, really?
Well, she wrote it when she was 16. She was born in 86. So she's only 4 years older than us.
Done so
Don't
much.
you
with
feel
my
accomplished
life.
right now?
But that means like that would have come out in 2000 and
2012 was the first one. That was when it came out, but she wrote them when she was 16.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say I don't remember it being like
Yeah, I mean there's like a whole bunch of books in that series.
So she sat on it for a bit.
I don't know. That's as far as my Google search got me to Wikipedia, and that's what I got from Wiki. Okay. So yeah, that's how I found the book.
Okay, cool.
And then I read it, and then I was like, this book, well, we'll share our thoughts later.
Yes, yeah. Well, why don't you tell us what the book's actually about?
So I went on to book series recaps, and I've got a recap of the whole story. It's a bit long, but it should give us all the right context that we need. Okay, so what happens in A Court of Thorns and Roses? Feyre and her family have fallen on very hard times. They find themselves shunned by high society and near starvation. The job of hunting for food has fallen to Feyre. One day, she spots a doe to bring down, but to her surprise, a great wolf attacks the doe first. She wonders if he is Fae in his wolf form, but since she hates Fae, she shoots him anyway with an ash arrow. Not long after that, a wolf fairy comes demanding payment for the murdered wolf. A life for a life, as stated in the treaty. Feyre chooses to go willingly to live with him in Prythian, across the wall, rather than be killed. The wolf fairy, Tamlin, lives in a beautiful and large manor. He is High Lord of Springcourt. Here she also meets Tamlin's friend Lucien. To her surprise, she's not harmed or even locked up. All of the household, including Tamlin, wear masks. Feyre learns that they wear them because there is a plight in the land that is affecting magic, and the masks are magically attached. They're searching for a cure to the plight and are afraid that it might someday spread to the mortal lands. This worries Feyre since her family is there unprotected. She also worries that they are starving without her to hunt for them. Tamlin eventually assures her that he has made sure that they are taken care of. While there, she's learning to fill her idle time. Tamlin, it seems, is trying to befriend her. He offers to teach her to read and gives her painting supplies, but she's reluctant to trust him or like him. As time passes, Feyre realizes that Tamlin and Lucien are not giving her the full story of what is happening with the plight over Prythian. To get answers, she ensnares a Suriel, a type of low fae which is compelled to tell the truth. He shares that the fairy kingdom Highburn, ruled by a wicked and powerful king, resents the treaty with the humans. 100 years ago, he sent his own fae over to spy and infiltrate the other high fae courts. Then, 50 years ago, one of his commanders disobeyed him. Before more could be told, Feyre is attacked and Tamlin comes to her rescue. The two of them begin a sort of truce after that. Strange warnings of a sort begin happening. For example, a summer court fairy is found with his wings ripped off, dying. He says that she took them. Feyre overhears more and more conversations about her. She later finds out that they are referring to the self-proclaimed Queen of Prythian, Amarantha. Soon, there will be a solstice celebration. Feyre and Tamlin sneak off to a field where they kiss. The next day, the handsome High Lord of the Night Court, Rhysand, shows up and discovers Feyre there. He's known for being close to the Queen. Tamlin begs him not to tell Amarantha about Feyre. He makes threats and promises nothing. Feyre lies and tells him her name is Claire Bador. After that, Tamlin decides to send Feyre back home to the human realm, but not until after one last intimate night together. Back home, she finds her family more than taken care of with a huge house and more. Weeks pass and another manor is burned to the ground. It was the family of Claire Bador, the fake name she had given Rhysand. Feyre decides to go back because she knows things must be terribly wrong in Spring Court. She makes her way back only to find the manor ransacked and nearly empty. Only Alice, a servant, is still there. She tells Feyre of Queen Amarantha. The Queen came as an emissary from Highburn 100 years ago. She fought in the Mortal War alongside her sister Clythia until Clythia fell in love with a mortal warrior, Durian, who eventually betrayed Clythia. Amarantha has hated humans ever since. She came without her king's permission and wishes to take Prythian for her own. Fae have been her slaves for 49 years after she stole part of their power. She says that Feyre could have ended it all. A curse was put on Tamlin after his refusal to become Amarantha's lover and consort. He has to find a human girl who has killed a Fae out of hatred, then make her fall in love with him. All of Spring Court was magically unable to tell Feyre these things. Feyre does love him, but she never told him. Feyre asks Alice to take her to Amarantha so that she can rescue Tamlin. Alice tells her there is one more thing that she wants to tell her, but her mouth is magically shut to it. Feyre is immediately found and taken to Amarantha. Tamlin pretends not to know her. Feyre is forced to make a deal with the Queen. She is to complete 3 tasks, 1 a month, and if she does, Tamlin and all of the Fae courts will be free. Or, at any time, she can solve a riddle and they will be freed immediately. She completes the first task, but her arm is badly wounded and infected. Rhysand heals her, but she is forced to make a deal with him as well. She must, after this is all over, spend a week of every month with him for the rest of her life. He puts a tattoo on her arm and hand marking the deal. After that, Rhysand forces her to be his escort to parties to flaunt her in front of Tamlin, who is not even allowed to visit Feyre. Her second task is to solve a riddle to save herself and Lucien, but she can't read. Rhysand is able to help her through the eye tattooed on her palm. He later admits to her that he wants to be free of Amarantha and hopes that she wins and that Tamlin rips her to shreds. The third task is simply that she kill 3 innocent Fae. They come out, heads covered, and it is difficult, but she kills the first 2. 3 lives to free all of the Fae, she tells herself. But when they take the head covering off the 3rd innocent Fae, it's Tamlin. She doesn't know what to do until she begins to remember all the times that Tamlin let her overhear things. She guesses correctly that he has a heart of stone. This was Alice's final secret that she couldn't reveal, and shoves the dagger in his chest. As he is slowly healing, Amarantha is livid. She says she didn't say when she would free them and refuses to do it. She starts magically breaking Feyre's bones. While in pain, Feyre is able to solve the riddle that the Queen gave her. As specified in that bargain, all of Spring Court is released immediately. Tamlin attacks and kills Amarantha, but she has already broken Feyre's neck and she is dead. Feyre's soul is able to watch everything that is happening through Rhysand due to their bond. As Tamlin cradles her, all the High Fae offer up a magic, and Feyre becomes an immortal High Fae. The mountain is destroyed, but Feyre feels like there is a hole in her soul because of the innocent Fae she killed. She is still tied to Rhysand and will have to spend time in the Night Court as promised. She, Tamlin, and the rest of the Spring Court go home. The end. Also, something that really frustrates me, and it frustrates me in lots of books, not just this book, when they use names that I cannot figure out how to pronounce.
Oh my god, I know.
How do you pronounce her name?
Well, they make it like they make a point throughout the whole thing of like people pronouncing it.
I feel like they've said it once in the beginning and then a few more times at the end when I've already committed to the wrong pronunciation.
Yes, so that's it was once at the beginning because like the sister or something said it, and then towards the end as well, it was said a couple of times.
So how do you pronounce it?
I read it like Freya.
Freya. Oh, that would have been easier for my mind.
Yeah. What were you thinking?
First, I'm like, my brain couldn't comprehend it, so I was like, fairy. But then there were fairies in the book, so I had to change it to fair. But then that confused me because fair is a word, it's not a name.
Yes, yeah.
And now that she's spelled it out so many times, I have to say it in my mind as like Feyra.
Feyra, yeah, that's Feyra. Freya. I think I've added an R. Like I think I've added an R to the name at the start because that's what makes sense to me. Freya. That's an actual name.
That makes so much more sense. I wish I had thought of that.
But I don't think that's actually what it's meant to be because there's no R after the F. It's just like it's meant to be like Feyra.
Stumbling over the names is a big off-putter for me in books, especially if it's the main character. Yes.
Speaking of off-putting things, my first notes is like the first thing I literally read the first sentence and I was like, ugh, it's in first person.
Oh, really? You don't like first person?
Like, I don't mind them, but I think in this type of book, when it's like a fantasy world, it kind of needs to be like not in third person, so then you can kind of explain like the world a bit more because it kind of just gave you a map and then threw you in.
Okay.
And like not because I like besides you saying read this, like I'm reading this, let's read it together.
Yeah.
Like and knowing what the cover was, like I didn't actually know what it was about.
Yeah, okay.
Like I kind of got the idea it was kind of about fairies or whatever. But besides that, like I knew nothing. I hadn't read like, the back of the book or anything. So just going in like that, like it was just weird.
Yeah, okay. I feel like it's a very it's a very shallow book. It's not very deep.
No. Which I think that's why it does still kind of work having it in first person because it doesn't go very deep into it. And like as I read more, it does kind of explain where the world is and blah blah blah, and what's going on.
Yeah.
But also like it would have been nice to have some more information at the start.
Yes.
But that could be on me for not actually looking into it.
No, I don't think so. A book should grab you from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And with all the hype that it has on Book Talk, I mean, I still don't understand it. I'm still holding out that it's going to get better. And when I was doing some research on the author, I saw a couple of generalized spoilers. You know how I feel about spoilers. I hate them. So I'm trying to forget them. So
I love spoilers.
It sounds like it may get better. Maybe.
I don't want to discuss the second book yet, but I feel like it is.
Yes, agreed. When we're talking about how it's like very shallow, not very deep, it feels like a young, like a really young adult book, right?
Yes.
Like to the point where we probably wouldn't even bother with it. But then you get to some pretty spicy sex scenes.
Yes. Yeah, because that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. Some very descriptive horror scenes. And it's
like... Well, that's what I was going to ask you because like we were discussing like young adult books and that's when it came up that that's what you were reading. Like, is this classified as young adult?
It is on Book Talk, I mean.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you want to go to my next note because I think you're going to like this? Speaking of spicy, what the fuck is contraceptive brew?
Oh, I don't know.
Because like when she's like sleeping, like saying that she sleeps with this Isaac dude just, every now and then, and that he takes a contraceptive brew.
He takes it.
Like I need a
that's
takes
very
it.
woke, isn't it? Making the man do it. Deal with the contraceptive.
It wasn't explained any more than he just took some contraceptive brew.
Yeah. Don't you know?
Like, is that a sure thing?
Well, apparently. Contraceptive brew.
Oh, God.
If it's not, then what happens? He has to raise the baby? What if he didn't want to take contraceptive brew?
I know.
Isn't it his body and his choice?
Exactly. I don't, yeah.
No. Let's not go down this rabbit hole just yet. We're only on episode 1.
So my next note.
Go. Keep them coming.
Are the fairies furries? Am I reading furry porn?
Yes. They have to be.
Because, yeah, it's just...
Whoa.
Like, it didn't actually explain, because, you know, she killed this wolf or whatever. And she's like, oh, it could be a fairy. I'm like, how can that be a fairy? Like, fairies don't turn into wolves, but apparently fairies are shapeshifters now.
Oh, yeah, 100%. But only the high fairies. And, okay, I don't understand this high fae.
Yeah.
And then there's even higher fairies.
Yeah.
So what is the point of high fae?
Exactly.
And lesser fairies. A high fairy is just normal. Like, in our world, would you and I be high fairies and then the famous people that have lots of money be super high fairies?
Or would they be the high fairies and we're just the lesser class?
Well, yeah. Probably.
But that's what I mean, like, because it's in first person, you don't, like, none of this is really explained to you.
It's really not. And then the fairies have different abilities depending on where they sit on the fairy hierarchy.
Yes.
Unless you live in the Spring Court, in which case you have nothing. You get to wear a beautiful mask forever.
Yeah.
Can you imagine how their skin would be under
later.
There? Like, gross.
Or like when you take a cast off after wearing it for 6 weeks.
Yeah, it would sting and there'd be all that dead skin just flaking. But they're fairies. They have fairy magic. They have contraceptive brew. I'm sure they have face brew.
But then going back to the contraceptive brew, like, I didn't think there was magic in the human world. Is that not classified as magic?
Oh, yeah. It would have to be. Unless there's like a super duper plant somewhere.
Yeah. It's just strange. Also, my next one.
Yes.
She was enchanted to sleep for 2 days. Did she poop herself?
Yes. I guess she would have had to.
Did you think of any of these things while you were reading it?
I did not, but I didn't know we were going to be discussing it. I assumed that she was just frozen, as if he chucked her in a frozen lake. Frozen completely, everything stopped.
Sense.
Even her heart stopped. But if she's sleeping...
specifically said she was in a sleep.
Technically...
She's going to poop herself.
Bodily functions would still be happening. Right? So yeah, I think consensus is she pooped herself. Or Tamlin had to clean it up for her.
True love right now.
Oh, that is true love.
Yeah.
Until we get to the end of the book. Tamlin does not last long. I feel like the first book should have been 2 books.
It was, yeah, because the ending, like, through the trials and everything felt very rushed. Whereas there was this, like, big build-up, and then she just got sent away.
Yeah. That could have been 2 books. Her going to be at Tamlin's court and figuring all that out. And then going to Under the Mountain and dealing with all that shit.
Yeah.
Amaranth. Is that how you say it? Amaranth?
I don't know, but that's how I think it.
I think so. That's a plant, isn't it?
Like it's like the Twitch streamer.
I am not down
the hot tub
with the cool people on Twitch.
She does like hot tub streams, and the name's Amaranth, and she has red hair.
She does what stream?
Hot tub streams.
Hot tub stream. Is this the one that sells her bathwater?
No, that's Belle Delphine, or whatever her name is.
Kudos.
No.
Wish I'd thought of that.
There's another one that's been like selling her farts in a jar.
That's amazing.
Could you imagine?
You know what? If the price is right, I'd do it.
You've just got like jars lined up behind you.
Do you reckon she actually farts in them though?
Probably not, no.
Just be like empty jars.
Yeah.
How many? She'd be selling out of them, right? And then, like, how many times do people fart a day? On average. Exactly.
does she just let a little bit out and then like quickly grab the next jar?
Maybe there's some kind of vacuum thing happening. Stores it all up and then just disperses it in the jar.
True, yeah.
I feel like we're off topic.
Yes. Well, my next note was she's going to end up fucking the Tamlin dude, right? And they fall in love, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Which, yes. And then I think this is when they brought up like the whole Maas thing, because I wrote fairy COVID.
Fairy COVID? They get it through their eyes because they have eye masks.
Well, I think it must have been when they brought up the blight, and then they wrote fairy COVID, then like 2 notes under that is Maas stuck on their faces. Again, fairy COVID.
they pushed that for so long. Look, they pushed the whole blight thing, and then it just ends up being this woman who's a crazy lady.
It kind of would have been more interesting if it wasn't an actual sickness going around, like taking their magic, than just some chick who's like, it's mine now, bitch.
Yeah. It's like, I feel like this book, it just frustrates me. We go through periods of nothingness, just whinging and complaining about not having enough, having too much.
Yes.
Yada, yada, yada. And then you go through a chapter and it's like, boom, there's this woman under the mountain. She's terrorized all these people for 50 years. She's got a human eyeball on her finger and it's a soul trapped in there.
Yes.
And that's like all it crammed into one chapter, and then we go back to 3 chapters of whinging and whining and complaining.
Which, again, if this wasn't in first person, like, it would be so much more interesting because you'd get so much more detail and there wouldn't be the constant whinging.
Can't help people that won't help themselves, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, dear. All right, moving on.
So I did have a note saying, am I getting threesome vibes, or is one of the fairy dudes just...
Oh, there's got to be a threesome.
You don't want to talk about the threesome?
Eventually, there's got to be a threesome. It has to be.
Yeah, because I thought it was like Lucian at first or something.
I did too. And then I reckon he's gay. If this book is woke, then yes.
Yeah, actually that makes sense.
I don't know. No, hang on. No, he's not, because he had a wife.
Well, he loved somebody, some chick. Yeah. And they killed her.
So he's just still broken from that. Just broken people and broken fairies. Broken fairy people. Yeah. I didn't like him at first, and then I did. And then I didn't. And I think I ended up landing on meh.
Yeah, I feel like he kind of, especially in the first book, they kind of made him really interesting because he was like helping her and wanted to help her, but then they also had like this.
Yeah, they had this cool banter.
Yeah, and now it's just like
when she actually had substance.
Yes, but then now it's just like bleh.
Yeah, that's sad. He was cool. All right, where are we up to with your notes? What chapter are we at?
I didn't. That's the one thing I didn't do is I didn't put the chapters in, which I think I'm going to start doing with the next one, just so we know where we are. But my next note is, hold up, a beast-like creature, a library. Someone better call Disney.
Yes, okay, this is another book talk thing. They're saying, if you like Beauty and the Beast, you'll like this book.
Yes, because it's
and everyone's saying, oh, it's Beauty and the Beast vibes.
And it is.
It is in the beginning.
Yeah, it does like...
And then we just lose that completely.
Yes, yeah.
It felt very superficial, like it was done on purpose.
I think if they'd played more into like him being this kind of fierce, kind of scary dude, and not just towards the end being like, oh no, look, now they actually like each other and it's great. My next one is fairy sex cult.
Sex cult? Sure.
I think it's when they had the ceremony.
Yes. Just like orgies everywhere.
Yeah. Like what the hell?
I mean, if you're a fairy, you'd just be doing it all the time, wouldn't you?
But if he's brought this human there for the purpose of making her fall in love with him,
wouldn't you take her to the orgy? Oh.
But also, like, maybe don't tell her that you've just gone and had sex with somebody else.
Oh, but the truth matters.
Except when it's like the important stuff that she probably needs to know.
Yeah. Oh, we can't tell you that.
That got
Sure.
frustrating.
And why couldn't the little dude in the forest tell her that?
Yeah,
I
exactly.
pictured him as a gnome. I liked when they said, when the Alice chick was like, oh, you just take him a new robe and he would have told you everything. Like, oh, poor little gnome dude. He just wants a robe. Or all the orgies that he didn't get invited to.
Oh, he misses out on all the orgies. Okay, so we're up to when she goes back to her family.
And her family are in their mansion.
Yes, and I said, are these people dumb? Suddenly their luck changed and they are rich again? Okay, one of them isn't dumb.
Well,
like,
yeah.
I understand that underneath, like, they're under a glamour or whatever, but, like, wouldn't you just think,
oh, where was this rich auntie a year ago?
yes, like, how can we be this lucky?
How do we kill her sooner so we get all her money?
Yes.
As if you wouldn't be thinking that.
Yeah, which they didn't exactly explain, like, the glamour that well.
No.
Like, does it change all their thoughts, like, from, like, all their past thoughts as well?
Yeah. It's interesting. And just being stubborn can change it.
My prediction. She takes Nesta back to the wall, and then Nesta and Lucian get it on.
Ah. Yeah, I could see. Well, no. Yeah. Maybe.
No, you don't like that.
I've landed on maybe.
I mean,
I think that she's gonna, because I feel like it's focusing so much on the relationships and the love instead of all the really cool world building stuff.
Yeah.
Because she's got like an epic world and it could be amazing.
Exactly.
Anyway, because she's so focused on the relationships, I think that both the sisters are going to go over and end up hooking up with someone somewhere along the line. We've still got 3 books to go.
Yeah, like
Side note, we should read Bridgerton next.
Oh no. Yes, okay.
Anyway.
Like, yeah, they're going to end up being mated to some elf warrior or something.
Yes. Okay. Prediction, and this is so, like, obvious. Reese, in the very end of the book, and I'm hoping I'm still in the first book, when they're still under the mountain, he's saying goodbye, he's up on the balcony, and she describes it as a minute of, like, shock, and then he dashes away or something.
Yes.
I think he feels the mating bond with her.
Yeah.
He feels that, and then he's like, oh no, and he runs away. And then she goes back with Tamlin, because then he doesn't come back for months, right?
Yeah, you're onto the second book now.
Oh. And then who knows what happens? Come back next week to find out.
But no, I think, it's going to be like a kind of a love triangle where she's going to marry this dude, but then she accidentally mates to the other dude. But then, like, they never really explained, is it like an instant connection kind of thing? Or can it build over time and just suddenly happen? Or is it just like you see each other for the first time and suddenly you're mated?
I don't, they didn't explain it. But for my theory to work, no, they don't. It's not instant.
Yes. Okay.
It might be for one, but not for the other.
Yeah.
Because this is just immediately after she's turned into a fairy. So he wouldn't have felt it beforehand because she was only human.
But can they only mate with fairies?
Well, yes, because humans are lesser than lesser fairies. And she got pointy ears and long fingers because that's what makes you a fairy. And started sparkling like Edward Cullen in fucking Twilight, glistening in the sunshine. I feel like I'm skipping ahead in your notes. Let's keep going with your notes.
Okay, my next note is she going to end up fucking this Reese dude? Is that what the sequels are? Her going through all the fairies?
Yes. She goes to each court and just fucks them.
But I do feel like that's kind of, not so much that she's going to fuck everyone, but I feel like that's where they're going to go with it. It's gonna end up being like a love triangle, as it always is. Yes.
100% there'll be a love triangle.
Yeah.
I still don't know how, if he was stuck under the mountain being Amaranth's whore, how did he get out on the orgy night? And why was he out on orgy night?
I don't know if this is in the first or the second, but he kind of hints that he had to make a sacrifice for it or something. Or that he got punished in some way.
I think it's a sacrifice-y type thing.
Yeah.
But why did he go out in the first place?
Yeah.
What was the point of making that punishment?
To go have sex with a bunch of fairies.
But, yeah, okay.
There has to be something more to that. Whether it comes up later, I don't know. My next note is, if they weren't all scared of this fairy chick, they literally could just have thrown her on her ass. Powers and no powers. Like, how many fairies are there?
But didn't she take all of the High Lord's powers?
Yeah, but
She can't use them, but she's taken them. But she still has powers of her own.
But like brute force. Take the magic. How many fairies are there, and could they not have just used brute force? I guess that would have to involve them actually teaming up and working together, which I think may have been the issue.
That would just ruin the book. And then she also had sympathizers.
Yes, that's true.
And those scary, monstery, beastie things.
Yeah, I don't remember what they were meant to look like.
Horrific things of your nightmares.
Yeah, but that's not very descriptive. Like, that could be anything. So apparently I kept forgetting half of them had masks on. It's hardly mentioned towards the end.
Yeah. I mean, their masks do come off in the end.
Yeah. But it was such like a big deal in the beginning that, you know, someone had a mask, and somebody didn't. And
was it just the spring court that had the masks? And why was his court spared and the others weren't?
Yeah, I feel like that, again, not explained very well. You'll like this. What? They all just put a seed into her and now she's immortal? Seems sus.
Oh, for the seeds. I'll just plant my seed in you. Yeah. Turn you into a fairy.
That's so weird.
What's that? Another orgy.
It was just, it was very weird.
It was. And the only reason that it worked was because she had the bond with Reese. Because her soul went to him and was like hanging about.
Yeah.
Or would it have worked anyway?
Good point. And then my last note is, so did she check in on her family or are we done with them now?
Didn't the sisters be like, don't come back?
Yeah, I know, but then they said that in the beginning and then one of them went after, like, apparently looking for her. And then, she came back. So, I don't know. But
they left on a good note, right?
Yeah.
Everyone was happy and friends. Where did we end up with the end of the book? Do you have more notes?
No, that was my last note. They, like, put the seed in her and then that was kind of, she came back to life and then that was kind of it, I think. And
then they went back. Right? They went back to start their lives together at the spring court.
Yes, yeah. And then,
that's where we left it.
And then, the next book's a few months later.
I did see on Book Talk that this is going to be made into a movie.
Oh, really?
Maybe. Or a TV show.
See, I don't like it when they do, like, books like these. I think they work so much better as a TV show than a movie.
Yes. Yeah, you wouldn't be able to fit it all. Well...
Maybe this one.
Cut out all of the...
all the whining.
All of the whinging and whining, which you can't really portray on TV. Then, yeah, maybe. Well, the reviews are very mixed.
Which I feel mixed about it.
Yeah. Here's Jenny Beast's review. Beauty and the Beast reimagined, with a hunter beauty and a different sort of beast. I really enjoyed how true the book is to the fairy tale tropes. 3 tasks, tricksy bargains, dark and dangerous fae and all.
What?
I did not get that vibe.
No.
There was nothing like traditionally fairy about the fairies.
No. Read me another.
Okay. This is from Matcha. Still trying to see what the attraction is to this author. She gave 3 stars, by the way.
Okay, cool.
I like fairy tale reworkings and something intriguing could be done with Beauty and the Beast. So I thought, okay then. But just okay is what I got. The second male lead, but not the first. Could be interesting, but isn't yet. A full book in.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, Lucian is so much more interesting than the Tamlin dude.
Oh, she goes on to say, the heroine is just annoying.
Yes.
The writing is competent, but no more. Like the newer title I read, the book is very slow to advance its main story, so there's a lot of filler to read through. It's formed around romance structures. I'd guess thinly disguised as a genre fantasy. I'll try one more book in case things improve, but if not, I'm writing this author off as not for me.
That's kind of how I feel. Like, I want to
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Ooh. Do you want one more?
Yeah, I like the answer. Spicy.
This is from Clicham.
Mm-hmm.
C-L Rich M.
Mm-hmm.
Also 3 stars. It starts off like this. Peer pressure made me do it. I can relate. I wonder if it would have landed better with me if I hadn't been so hyped on social media everywhere I looked. Or if I hadn't read it so close on the heels following A Song of Achilles. Oh, that's another book talk favourite.
Oh, okay.
Or if I hadn't spent so many formative years reading trashy romances whose skeletons I could see hiding behind the trappings of this book. No way to know on any of that, I suppose. I did appreciate the revelation of the curse's specifics that explained why Tamlin was falling all over himself for Feyre. Not because she was some violet-eyed self-insert of a Mary Sue, but because she fulfilled the terms for which he'd been waiting. Side note, was there even a real treaty clause about this in the first place, or was that a lie to explain why he'd brought her back? Now unclear. And the other similar reactions were all based on that, or her importance to Tamlin, not because she was a super special girl, which was beginning to feel like the case and which got cloying fast. Anyway, it was entertaining, but I wouldn't call it an exceptional book or claim to be hooked on it. I'm likely to read at least one more of the books in the series, mostly out of curiosity about how the blatantly obvious, dubiously consensual at best mating is going to backfire on Tamlin.
Oh.
Interesting. I agree with that.
Yeah.
So everything's lining up for the next book to be better.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it can't be worse.
No.
And I did see on Book Talk, and I really need to stop watching it. There was someone that was wanting to reread all of these books, but they were so perturbed at the fact that they had to read the first book to get to the next books.
Oh, okay. So that's saying that it does get better.
So maybe all these people that are simping? Am I using that right?
Mm-hmm. I think so. Maybe. Keep going and I'll tell you.
Simping over these books
yes.
is because it gets so much better.
Mm. So what would your rating be out of 5 stars?
Look, because it's the first book, I'm kind of giving it the benefit of the doubt. But I'm still giving it, I'm going to give it 2.5.
It's like you read my mind. I was sitting here thinking,
oh, really?
I'm going to do 2.5 because, it's not bad.
I want to give it 2 because the world building in it,
yes.
It has so much potential.
Yes.
But I don't want to give it 3 because the potential was not used to its fullest.
Exactly. 100% agree.
There you go, so 2.5 stars.
Nice.
We'll just leave it at that, I guess.
So next week we'll be reading Court of Mist and Fury. Feel free to send us your thoughts via email or Twitter. Links will be in the show notes. And we may even include them in next week's discussion. Happy reading and we'll see you guys next week.